What you deny subjugates you. What you accept transforms you. Carl Jung. What happens when the denial doesn't belong to you, but to someone you trust? There's a particular kind of pain that doesn't leave bruises. It's the slow, invisible erosion of being around someone who says they care, but secretly resents you. You feel it in the silence when you share good news, in the subtle jabs, the half smiles, the way they forget to tell you things that could help. It's confusing, right? They're not openly hostile. They might even be kind, supportive on the surface, but something feels off. According to Carl Jung, each of us carries a hidden side, the shadow. It holds everything we don't want to admit about ourselves: jealousy, anger, insecurity, and sometimes hatred. And when someone hasn't made peace with their shadow, it doesn't just stay inside, it spills over into how they treat others, especially those who reflect something they haven't owned in themselves. In this video, we're going to explore 4 signs that someone close to you may secretly harbor resentment, envy, or even hate, without ever saying it out loud. And more importantly, we'll look at the psychological roots of why that happens and what you can do with that awareness. Because when you recognize these patterns, you reclaim your power. Ready to look beneath the surface? Sign 1, the disguised saboteur withholding helpful information. Have you ever found out about an opportunity, a job opening, an event, a connection, after it was too late, and realized someone close to you knew all along? They didn't lie. They didn't sabotage you directly. They just stayed silent. This is one of the most subtle and dangerous signs of hidden resentment. The consistent omission of information that could support your growth. Carl Jung would say this behavior is often an unconscious projection of the shadow. When someone feels threatened by your potential, but can't admit that to themselves, they might unconsciously try to hold you back, not out of pure malice, but from an inner fear of being left behind, unseen, or inferior. They don't see themselves as bad. They may even believe they're being neutral. But neutrality in moments that call for support is a form of resistance. Imagine someone quietly removing bricks from the foundation of your house, not to destroy it all at once, but just enough to make sure it doesn't stand too tall. That's what this kind of sabotage feels like. Ask yourself, who do I go to when I'm excited about something new? Who consistently responds with silence, downplaying, or forgetfulness? Is there a pattern of them just not thinking to tell me important things? It's not always intentional, but it is revealing, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Sign 2, they can't celebrate your wins. There's a strange kind of silence that follows success, and it speaks louder than applause ever could. You tell them you got the job. You share your latest breakthrough. Maybe it's something small, a compliment you received, a risk that paid off. They smile, but it doesn't quite reach their eyes. Their tone shifts. The subject changes too quickly, and suddenly the room feels colder. Carl Jung observed that when a person has not integrated their shadow, they tend to project their internal conflicts onto others. In this case, your growth becomes a mirror, one that reflects what they've neglected in themselves. It's not your success that hurts them. It's what your success reminds them of: their stagnation, their unfulfilled desires, their buried sense of inadequacy. So instead of celebration, what emerges is silent comparison. They start to compete with you, not openly, not aggressively, but quietly. They tell stories that top yours. They emphasize their own hardships when you share a win. You notice a pattern. Your joy triggers their discomfort. It's not that they don't care about you. It's that the version of you that's thriving, expanding, shining is difficult for the part of them that feels stuck to accept. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." But what happens when your light irritates someone else and they don't want to understand it? You begin to walk on eggshells around your own success. You shrink a little, hoping not to provoke that subtle tension, but your spirit notices. And deep down, so do they. Sign 3, compliments that cut. You hear the words. Technically, they're nice. "Wow, I didn't expect you to land that role. You actually look good today. Honestly, I wish I had your confidence. I could never pull that off." They're smiling, maybe even laughing. But something in your chest tightens. This is what we call a compliment with teeth, and it's a signature move of unspoken resentment. On the surface, it passes as praise, but underneath, it carries the subtle sting of judgment, disbelief, or envy. It's a way of expressing disapproval while pretending to be supportive. According to Jungian psychology, this behavior often emerges when the shadow becomes too unbearable to hold in. Instead of fully owning their jealousy or insecurity, the person disguises it in socially acceptable ways: irony, sarcasm, passive-aggressive remarks. It's safer for the ego that way. But for you, the one receiving it, it's confusing. You might even feel guilty for feeling hurt. After all, they were just joking, right? That's part of the trap. These backhanded compliments keep you doubting your own perception. And that self-doubt is exactly what the shadow wants. Because if you question yourself enough, you'll stop threatening their comfort. Jung teaches that the shadow thrives in denial, and these disguised criticisms are a way for someone to keep their darkness cloaked, while still letting it slip through the cracks. The key is not to react with anger or shame. Instead, pause, observe, ask yourself not what they said, but what they meant. How did it feel in your body, in your gut? Because the unconscious always speaks, and sometimes it uses praise as a weapon. Sign 4, the pattern that doesn't lie. Sometimes the truth doesn't come in a single moment. It reveals itself slowly through patterns we can no longer ignore. At first, it might seem harmless. A cold glance here, a missed message there, an odd sense of joy on their face when something doesn't go your way, and almost too quick to catch. But over time, it builds a rhythm of withdrawal, contradiction, tension, and then one day, it hits you. They never actually want you to lose, but they're definitely not rooting for you to win either. Carl Jung would say that when someone hasn't made peace with the disowned parts of themselves, their shadow, they unconsciously seek out people who reflect those parts back to them. That reflection can be terrifying. Your confidence might highlight their self-doubt. Your peace might expose their chaos. And your rising light might make their internal darkness feel unbearable. So they push in small, quiet ways, not to destroy you, but to bring you back down to a level that feels safe to them. The most dangerous thing about this sign is how subtle it is. There's no blow-up, no clear betrayal, just the slow erosion of trust through inconsistencies. One or two incidents can be overlooked, but patterns are where truth lives. You begin to realize every time you share your dreams, they go quiet. Every time you struggle, there's a strange flicker of relief in their tone. Every time you rise, they disappear. This isn't about paranoia, it's about discernment. Jung said that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives, and we will call it fate. The same is true in relationships. If you ignore the signs, you'll start to believe you're the problem. But you're not. You're just becoming aware. You've just walked through 4 subtle yet powerful signs that someone close to you may be harboring secret resentment. Not because they're evil, not because they want to hurt you, but because something inside them, something unacknowledged, wounded, hidden, doesn't know how to handle your light. Carl Jung's work reminds us the shadow is not inherently bad. It's just the part of us we don't want to see. But when someone refuses to look inward, their shadow spills outward, into their relationships, their reactions, their silences. Recognizing these signs isn't about judging others. It's about protecting your peace. It's about listening to what your body knows, even when your mind is still trying to justify. And maybe, most importantly, it's about seeing your own reflection in all of this too. Because sometimes we're the ones who have looked away from our own envy, our own fear, our own wounded shadow. So pause, reflect, ask yourself, where in your life are you ignoring a pattern that's quietly draining you? And where might you be projecting something you haven't yet healed? Awareness is the beginning of liberation. If this video stirred something in you, a memory, a feeling, a name, you're not alone. These dynamics are more common than we realize, especially among people who are deeply sensitive, self-aware, and growing. Share your experience in the comments, not only to express, but to connect. Your story might be the exact mirror someone else needs. And if you found this helpful, consider subscribing. There's more to explore in the world of depth psychology, self-awareness, and healing the parts of us we've left behind. Until next time, stay conscious, stay curious, and protect your light.